go on from
Thank you very much, Brother Piya, for your explanation of the suttas. We will now move on to our Q&A session. Please feel free to type your question in the chat box, or you could raise your hands to ask question.
Now we only have half an hour, so it's good to expedite your questions, okay? Anyone can start, huh?
Yes, questions, anyone? Today we have quite a big group of participants, about 110 of us. Any questions? Okay, we have one question from KF.
Yes.
The question is, when giving pindapata, can it also be dedicated to deceased loved ones?
Oh, definitely, yes. Pindapata is putting food into the monk's bowl. It's a very wonderful way of giving, actually. Okay? So, as you give, so you mindfully put in, you say, this is for my relative, may my relative be well and happy. Okay, so that's the way we do it. Even if you forget, it's okay. You can dedicate the merits after the fact. When you go home, in the comfort of your home, you can get a bowl, a smaller bowl and a big bowl. Then in a small bowl, you put water, and just pour the water into the big bowl. Go on pouring. As you pour, you mentally recall your relatives, and may you be well, may you be happy. By all the good I've done, by the giving I've done, I dedicate them to you. May you be well, may you be happy. So you pour this. The pouring is to help you focus. The pouring also reenacts that verse about water falling from high level down level. So it's an ancient gesture of giving also. All right, that's the dedication of merit. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Rachel. Most people cannot help but break the precepts at some point in their lives. So how would most people ever end up being reborn as humans? Why are there so many billions of human beings here on earth?
Yeah. Yes, this is a question about rebirth. Often asked question. First of all, human beings is not the only realm, remember? We can be reborn even among our physical world. There are many other beings. Just think of the birds alone. As so many birds. You can be reborn as a bird. You can be reborn as an insect, you know. There was a story about a monk who was so attached to his rope that he was reborn as a louse. So that's the story of the lousy monk who got attached to his ropes, okay? So there's so many other fishes in the sea and so on, depending on what attitude we have. If we love crowds, then we're reborn as some kind of crowded species. So that's one. About precepts, yes, the precepts are not easy to keep. The Buddha lists those 5 precepts because those are 5 things which are very important. We tend to break them very often. But remember, moments like this, we started off by reciting the precepts. Then, throughout this talk, until right now, we have not broken the precepts. That's why this is a very important occasion. There are many other occasions like this. So this is the time we remember during this period. Okay, I've kept the precepts and I've not broken any of them. You reflect in this way. This is called Sila Nusati, recollection on moral virtue. You see, during this period, I've kept these precepts. There are special occasions where you keep even more precepts, the 8 precepts. Then you remember this, you recall this. Then you use this as that focus on your mind to build up greater strength in you to keep the precepts even in a better way. So we build up. We're not perfect. That's why there are precepts. And we build it up that way. The precepts don't come pre-made. It is a way of life. We make mistakes and we learn from the mistake. We learn, why do we break this precept? What are the conditions that make us break this precept? That's what is trying to control us. We want to get back our control. We want to have this self-control, self-mastery. We want back our remote. So the precepts are helping us to know where we are weak and how we can strengthen that weakness. Okay?
Thank you, Brother Piya. We have a question from Hun Siuge. During loving kindness meditation, can we send metta to our parents or anyone who have passed away?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you can send it to. When you're doing actual loving kindness in your meditation, as metta bhavana, we normally do not include the deceased, the dead, in our loving kindness meditation for a simple reason: they are no more there. They don't exist the way we look at them. So we are sending to non-beings. So we do not dedicate merits to them. But at the end of the meditation, when you are full of metta, when you have ended, you finish your loving kindness, you have not come out of your meditation yet, that's the time you can send your thoughts to those departed ones. So that's how we do it. So it's not part of your loving kindness meditation because that is practice to build up your metta. But here is you're giving your loving kindness in memory of the departed. So you do it after the loving kindness in that sense. That's the way we do it, okay? So having said that, then you can start off by, in a way, getting into a short moment of loving kindness, feel the joy and peace in you, and then you come out of it, then you dedicate the merit. That also can be done, okay? Whatever it is, the rule is, whenever you dedicate merit, it must be done with loving kindness. Total, unconditional acceptance of the other party, of the deceased. Okay? Yes, continue. Next.
Thank you, Brother Piya. And question from Love Sunija. Can giving to any being can be dedicated to deceased or only monastics?
Oh, no. Definitely not just monastics. That would be political already. the suttas will mention monks because it's a sutta preached to the monks and to this huge community of mostly monks. But if you look at the Satipatthana Sutta, for example, and the commentary on the word monk refers to anyone who's meditating. And then in other suttas, the word monk refers to anyone who's listening to the sutta. Okay, so for example, when we study the suttas here, you read "O monks," but the Buddha is referring to us, where the teaching is relevant to us. So the good act is the giving. Of course, we want to give where we get the best effect. That would be to the most virtuous people, and in our case as Buddhists, it would be those really virtuous monks. If you can't find them, then you can do something kind to anyone, someone who needs help, and you're kind to that person. An act of kindness, you use that to dedicate your merits, and it is cumulative. All right, it can be a single act, and it can also be cumulative, a habit. You recall to mind something or some group of things, good things you have done, or you can actually do something and say, okay, I'm going to attend this sutta study, and I'm going to dedicate the merits of this patience, and I'm going to listen with attention to so and so. Okay, so that's another way. All right, and at the end of this, we can do a simple dedication of merit too. Okay, next question.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Next one from Cindy Yo. She asks to comment on the practice of contact.
This kungta is simply means merit, but in the Chinese Mahayana form, it's a ritualized form, very grand, very expensive, and I suppose noisy too, actually. So you must have a lot of money to do that. So it's more of a money-based thing. But in the early Buddhist texts, the practice is very simple, very direct. You do it yourself with your mind calm and ready. So it's not employing someone else to do it. You do it yourself. You don't need to have a lot of money to employ this big group of monks to recite for you and then dedicate the merits. That's the kungta ritual. it's best to do it yourself. One really great, wonderful way is, let's say you invite your friends, and we should support each other in this way. I'm doing this special memorial for my relatives and so, and you all gather together, and it's a very wonderful Buddhist thing to do. This is what we should do as a community. Help each other instead of ritualizing it, instead of depersonalizing it. Then we employ someone else, and it becomes a status thing. It becomes what we show people, so that we are worthy of the wealth and so on. So it should not be like that. That's very wrong. It's something we do together happily in memory of the deceased. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Josephine. What is the meaning of the practice of pouring the water from a pot to another bowl, especially after offering food dana?
Well, actually, it's from a small bowl or container into a bigger bowl. That's called the act of dedication. It's in ancient India, pouring of water is a gesture of giving something immaterial, something you can't see, like merit, something you can't see. The meaning is not transferring. The meaning is dedicating. I dedicate this to so and so. So remember, I told you earlier on, the pouring the water from high level to low level, it is a reflection on this sutta too. So it helps us to focus on the events. It is a very wonderful event. I want to show my loving kindness to my relatives, and then you do that. That is something I introduced when I was a monk, because many local Chinese, they like to burn things. We are a burning culture. So I taught them, I mean, you can't tell them don't burn. I mean, you can't, it's very difficult to just stop someone from practicing. There is a vacuum there. So I told them, okay, you don't have to burn so many things. You just burn a little piece of paper. You get this little piece of paper, which is easy to burn. Write down the names of the departed ones, the close ones, or in fact anyone. You can write as many as you like. So after we get together, we recite some suttas, we listen, we have a special dhamma talk, maybe some act of merit, and then at the end of it we gather together and then we burn that paper. Okay. Now before that, there's something else. You find that in Buddhist gatherings, often the person behind will just put a hand on the shoulder of the person in front, and then everyone converges in the center. This is a gesture of doing it together, right? Then the person in front, the leader of the group, will burn this paper, and then pour the water of dedication over this paper. So to me, this is a reflection on the four elements. First of all, you have the paper that represents the body of the deceased. Then you burn it, it is fire, and then that paper is earth. Then you pour water over it, right? Then you see smoke, that is wind. Okay, so the four elements are all there. So we reflect on the four elements. We are nothing but the four elements. Our body is made up of the four elements. When we pass away, all these four elements disperse. So it's a reflection on impermanence. So this is another way of reflecting. This is in wisdom. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Theo. By dedicating the merits to our departed relatives, how does it help them? Do they get to elevate to higher realms?
If we dedicate things alone, no, it will not really help them. It's how you give it. We don't really give things. We dedicate merits. It's very important to remember. We dedicate merits. The food that you offer is not really to them. You don't put it on the roadside and you put candles like what you see quite a lot right now in the downstairs. It's like, for example, you say, okay, I'm going to this old folks home, I'm going to give some food to all these old folks, and then you come back and perform the dedication of merit. Okay, so that's how we do it. We do not give, they cannot consume those things. Remember the story of the cat and giving me a mouse, and then the story of Mahabrahma and so on. They cannot consume those things. what they need is the merit, because they're very unhappy beings, very depressed. We do something to make them happy. And when they feel happy, they fall from that unhappy state. They are reborn in a happy state. Okay? Now let me just read one question here passed to me. Why do some people dream of the deceased requesting certain things to burn for them? Now what's interesting is this happens mostly with the Chinese. So we at once can say this is a very culturally limited or culturally bound, culturally defined behavior. You know, when we go on thinking about something, we keep telling these things to our children. So we were conditioning them since childhood. So we grow up thinking this way, and when someone dies, there's this really powerful emotion, and we get all kinds of experiences. You will hear sounds and immediately associate with the disease and things like that. So the more superstitious you are, the more real this becomes. What you think in your mind is more real than what is out there, remember, okay? So all these dreams, it means you have a special connection with this disease, in a good way or in a bad way. Sometimes when we love this person very much, we tend to also care for this person, or over care. We say, oh dear, have I done this right? Have I done that right? So we worry about this. And dreamers, you know, tend to blow up things. They're not real. They kind of often magnify your fear or your hopes, your wishes, your desires. So it's a kind of what is going on in your mind. They're not in reality. Or sometimes we have done something wrong and I feel guilty about it, right? So my positive response is, if you have all these kinds of experiences, do your loving kindness, your metta. Sit quietly anywhere, if you like, in front of the picture of this disease or anywhere where you feel comfortable, and send your loving thoughts, your loving kindness to this disease. Say, may you be well, may you be happy, I dedicate marriage to you wherever you are. So remember, that's how it works. You send your thoughts to this, your feelings to this disease. Okay? Any other question?
Yes, from Love Sunija again. How can performing good karma help us transcend karma itself?
Yes, there's a sutta which talks about that, a karma that transcends all karma. It's like exercising yourself. You know, I mean, you want to run a marathon, you can't just hop out of bed and run a marathon. You got to build up your stamina by running a short distance first and then building it up. So this is another way of looking at the way we practice good karma. We keep on building our good karma so that we cut down breaking the precepts, that we are stronger, that so to such an extent that we will never break the precepts. In other words, attaining stream winning. Because when you're stream winning, you will never consciously break the precept, right? And if you do accidentally, unintentionally break the precept, you will look back and examine why. Okay, so in one way of speaking, you know, I realize it comes back to stream winning. You got to build up this energy, this good karma, and aspire to stream winning, so that you will never intentionally break any more precepts. And that is the stream winner. So that's how karma, when you create good karma, you create this environment so that you find it easier to practice good. For example, it's not easy for anyone who wants to come to this gathering to join us. There's so many things going on, and we get caught up with those things. But those of you who are here right now, you're very fortunate. In other words, there's this convergence of all this wonderful good karma, and that have allowed you to sit here right throughout, right to the end. I mean, you could halfway have a stomach ache or some emergency, some phone call to get away, but here you are, right here with us. Right? So that's how good karma works. We want the environment, the conditions to allow us to continue being happy and to build up this wholesome energy until we reach the path. That's when we are truly safe. That's one way of putting it. Now, I have a question just handed to me here. The current Ghost Festival, how do Buddhists view this? All right, we Buddhists are very tolerant, of course, we never talk about banning things like that. But of course, you don't have to join in. That's the first thing I can say. And if you're invited to join in, you go as a Buddhist. You can explain to them what really is going on whenever you have the chance. So as Buddhists, we do not practice this kind of. We don't limit, this dedication of merit or praying for ancestors to just 1 month. It's an ongoing thing. We can do this anytime. In fact, after every good meditation, after a gathering like this, studying sutta, after you have done something good, you can treat it like a 7-moon event. You can dedicate merits to your ancestor anytime. If you love someone, why only 1 month a year? You can do it anytime you feel like it, spontaneous even. Okay, so you don't have to limit this prayer to just a ritual and say, okay, I've done my duty, and so people won't talk bad about me. That is something else. It's not really filial piety. That's not dedication of merit. You do it with love. Remember, with loving kindness, you want to make this departed one happy because it's a preta. All right, continue, please.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from David Ang. In the Thirokuda Sutta, the monk there referred to the Aryan Sangha or the conventional Sangha. Now, Buddhist Maranasati in some places have become very commercial.
Yes, true. Well, in the Sutta, of course, I would say the first interpretation would be the Noble Sangha. Definitely the Aryas. Aryas meaning the Arahats, non-returners, once-returners, stream-winners, definitely, okay? But after that, you have the conventional Sangha who keep the precepts, who are virtuous, okay? So, insofar as they're virtuous, you also feel good towards them. Of course, we don't know how virtuous they are. If after offering to them you find that they're not virtuous, don't worry about it. It is not our problem in a manner of speaking. The intention is good, but next time, of course, you will be wiser. You will choose the monks who are more virtuous in that way. Okay, so this is a matter of your faith. We do it out of faith, basically. All right, and remember, we can also do any good deeds to say old folks' home, building a bridge, any kind of kindness towards the public. Even there are many ways of doing good. All right. Okay, go on, please.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Rachel. Is it true that if one is reborn in the lower realm, they need to be reborn thousands of times there before they can be reborn in human or higher realms?
I don't know about how long, how many thousand or whatever times, but it is said in somewhere in the suttas that once you fall into the lower realms, it's very difficult to get out. However, my cats are teaching me a lesson, because if you love animals, you're kind to them, you find the behavior is almost human, if you like, you can put it that way. And you find that when I was as a monk, I find even the cats will sit very peacefully when we are meditating, for example, so they can sense something good there. All right. So I have a feeling, this is just a personal feeling, that if you treat animals well, what more humans, by the way, they have this good feeling in them, and that helps them to be reborn in a happier state, even as humans. So it doesn't matter how long they may take. It's difficult for animals to be reborn as humans, because if they're in the jungle, they are being attacked by other animals, they're all the time worried for their safety. The instinct of the animal is always either hunting for food or protecting their herd and so on. So they do not have human thoughts in that sense. So our kindness to others can help them humanize, so to speak, reach a level where they are able to see some kind of goodness within themselves, feel the peace inside them, and die peacefully and happily, and that will help them being reborn in a happier state as a human being, for example. Okay.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Next question from Damadara Yo. He asked, what suttas do you recommend to chant during the performing of dedication of merits to the departed ones?
Of course, if you go to different monks, they'll tell you, they will recommend different suttas. There are so many suttas. Tirukuda Sutta, of course, is one. Basically, I would say you should chant your favorite sutta, whether it is Metta Sutta or Mangala Sutta. But usually, of course, Metta Sutta is another favorite. You can select the suttas that you like from your chanting book. But that's not all. As I said, another way is you can make it fun. You can get your friends together and say, okay, we're going to have a sutta study. And then you say, okay, we are studying this in the spirit of dedicating merit. And you find it, this is something special. So you can choose a sutta and then study that sutta, a happy sutta if possible, something useful. And then at the end of it, you dedicate the merit of that act to the departed. So it's not just chanting the sutta, it's also studying the sutta and doing it together. And then you have this, as I say, a community where a lot of people feel lots of loving kindness, and that's really good, a good way of dedicating merit as a community, okay, as a happy gathering of like-minded individuals to dedicate merit to this individual or individuals who have passed away. Yes.
Thank you, Brother Piya. I think we have time for one more question from HK Go. While this is about the dedicating merits to the deceased, how do we help parents who are still alive but have no affinity with the Buddha's teaching?
Oh, if parents are still alive, I think loving kindness is very important. Keep on sending a loving kindness to them. Show them you are peaceful and happy. And they will one day sooner or later ask you, why are you so happy? You say, well, this is what the Buddha taught us, that we should be happy so that you also be happy, your family also be happy. You go on telling them like that. And then whenever you have the chance, add in a bit of wisdom teaching. For example, you don't need to do this, you don't need to burn papers because they won't get it. So educate them bit by bit. This can happen. A similar example is my own wife Ratna. She has a very big family. She has become a kind of missionary to her family. She is gently, bit by bit, teaching the family what suttas are, how to be Buddhist, what not to practice, don't fall for all those guru-based teachings and commercial teachings and so on. So this education thing goes on and it never ends. Your effort will always bear fruit. Maybe not immediately, but it will bear fruits sometime. So remember, keep sending them the loving kindness. They can see that in your face, and then they will ask you why you're so happy. Tell them why, and then they will get it. Okay? All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Piya, for answering all the questions, and thank you everyone for your questions. Any unanswered questions, we will pass to Brother Piya, and he will answer and post it in the Facebook group. So now we will pass the session back to Brother Piya for the closing.
Now, about the last remark, I've not been answering any question on Facebook so far because I've been so caught up in my sutta study. Now, may I advise, if you find that you still want the answers, email me or message me directly on Facebook. I'll be very happy to answer you. So that's a very good way, okay? Because as you know, I get so many emails and things to read, and I have suttas to read too. So message me, and that's the best way. Either message me to Facebook, the sutta Facebook, through my WhatsApp, right, or Telegram even, okay? But the best is the sutta Facebook, so I will try to answer as soon as I can, all right? Okay, that's good. Now we come to this important moment. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the special occasion where we have studied these two suttas talking about pretas and so on. So now let us calm ourselves reflectively with mindfulness to remember this occasion to dedicate merits to our ancestors, to those who have passed away, especially if they are reborn as pretas, to our relatives, even friends, even enemies who are pretas. We have gathered here from 8 a.m., even earlier, and we have spent quiet time listening to the Dhamma, keeping the 5 precepts, meditating. All these are wonderful acts of merit by our own free choice. And many, many more good deeds we have done earlier. So by the power of all this good that we have done, we dedicate to our relatives who have passed away. We do not know where they are or what they are right now. If they are pretas, may they be well, may they be happy through all this good we have done. We dedicate these merits to them. May they be well, may they be happy, may they be uplifted from their state so that they are reborn into happy states. So spend a quiet moment just sending your thoughts, your loving kindness to those special relatives that are important to you. And now you join me in reciting a very simple line, Idang me nyatinang hotu. This line simply means I dedicate this marriage. I dedicate all this good I've done to this relative. So just put your palms together and mindfully just recite together or after me. Idam me nyatinang hotu. Sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu. Sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu. Sukita hontu nyatayo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This line is also found in the sutta that we have just studied, Tirakuta Sutta. Now we will close with the closing salutations. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Brother Piya. Thank you everyone for participating, and hope to see you all again next session.